Immerse yourself in a journey through time as we venture into the intricate web that is the Israel-Palestine conflict. This is a story woven with threads of history, political aspirations, and deeply rooted narratives, making the Israel-Palestine conflict one of the most complex issues of our time. It's a tale that has unfolded over decades, marked by moments of hope and periods of despair. Our aim here is not to pick sides, but to unravel this tangled narrative, shedding light on the many perspectives that shape it. We'll delve into the historical context, the differing narratives, the current issues at play, and the international response. We'll also explore the role of media in shaping perceptions and propagating narratives. As we embark on this exploration, remember, understanding is a pathway to peace. Our journey into the Israel-Palestine conflict begins now, with an exploration of the historical context that set the stage for what we see today. The seeds of this conflict were sown long before the creation of the State of Israel in 1948. Let's take a step back into history, shall we? In the late 19th century, a movement called Zionism emerged among European Jews. Zionists sought a homeland for Jews in response to widespread anti-Semitism. Their gaze turned to Palestine, a region with significant historical and religious ties to the Jewish people. At the same time, the Arab population in Palestine was growing and developing a distinct national identity. These Palestinians, mostly Muslims and Christians, had been living in the region for centuries, cultivating the land and nurturing their communities. Then came the Balfour Declaration in 1917. This was a letter from the British government expressing support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This document laid the groundwork for the Zionist movement to gain momentum, but it also ignited the first sparks of tension with the Palestinian Arabs, who opposed the influx of Jewish immigrants. The British Mandate in Palestine, which began in the early 1920s, was a tumultuous period marked by clashes between Jewish immigrants and Palestinian Arabs. The British, who were supposed to administer the region on behalf of the League of Nations, found themselves in a difficult balancing act between the two communities. By the time we reached the late 1940s, the United Nations proposed a partition plan. This plan aimed to divide Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem under international administration. Though the Jewish Agency accepted the plan, Arab states and Palestinian leaders rejected it, leading to a conflict that still resonates today. The establishment of Israel marked a turning point, but the roots of the conflict reach much deeper. These early events, marked by clashing aspirations and narratives, set the stage for the Israel-Palestine conflict that we know today. As we navigate this complex issue, it's crucial to remember that the perspectives and narratives we encounter are deeply rooted in this intricate historical tapestry. At the heart of the conflict lie two peoples, each with their own narrative and aspirations. Let's begin with the Israeli narrative. This centers around the idea of a Jewish homeland, the right to self-determination, and the historical ties to the land that date back to ancient times. For many Israelis, the establishment of the nation-state in 1948 was a beacon of hope, a refuge from centuries of persecution, and a fulfillment of the Zionist aspiration. This aspiration is deeply embedded in their national identity and forms the backdrop to their narrative. Now let's shift our focus to the Palestinian narrative. The Palestinians, who also have historical and cultural ties to the land, see the creation of Israel as a catastrophe or Nakba. Their narrative revolves around displacement, loss, and a longing for self-determination. For the Palestinians, the aspiration is for recognition, a sovereign state, and the right to return to their ancestral homes. This narrative, too, is a fundamental part of their identity. These narratives, while seemingly at odds, are both rooted in a deep sense of historical continuity and a longing for a homeland. They are stories of survival, resilience, and the quest for identity, and they are, above all, human stories. But history is not the only factor shaping these narratives. The present-day realities of occupation, violence, and insecurity play a crucial role too. For Israelis, the fear of existential threat and security concerns are paramount. For Palestinians, the daily struggles under occupation and the longing for freedom are immediate and pressing. Yet beneath these narratives and aspirations, there's something shared, a common desire. Despite the conflict, despite the pain and the sorrow, both Israelis and Palestinians share a longing for peace, for security, and for a future where their children can grow up without fear. Despite the conflict, both peoples share a common desire, to live in peace and security.
And that, perhaps, is the starting point for understanding this complex issue.
The echoes of history reverberate in the present, shaping the issues we see today. The Israel-Palestine conflict is no exception, with current issues deeply rooted in decades of tension and strife. One pressing concern is the continued expansion of Israeli settlements in territories that Palestinians see as part of a future independent state. The international community largely views these settlements as illegal under international law, yet their construction persists, further complicating peace efforts. Human rights also remain a significant issue. Reports of violations, including alleged excessive use of force, detention without trial, and restrictions on movement, have come from both sides, fueling resentment and deepening divisions. The impact on civilian populations, particularly children, has been profound, with casualties and displacement creating a humanitarian crisis that cannot be ignored. Violence, unfortunately, continues to punctuate the narrative. From rocket attacks to reprisals, the cycle of aggression and retaliation has claimed too many lives and inflicted untold suffering. This violence acts as a stark reminder of the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. The international community's response to these issues has been varied. Some nations offer unequivocal support to one side or the other, while others advocate for a balanced approach, seeking to uphold international law and human rights. Various peace initiatives have been proposed over the years, from the Oslo Accords in the early 90s to more recent proposals. These initiatives, while well-intentioned, have struggled to achieve lasting success, often undermined by political disagreements, lack of trust, and continued violence. The United Nations, European Union, and other international bodies continue to play a pivotal role in facilitating dialogue, proposing solutions, and providing aid to those affected by the conflict. Yet despite these efforts, a comprehensive peace agreement remains elusive. While the road to peace is fraught with obstacles, the pursuit of a fair and lasting solution continues. The echoes of history remind us of the importance of this pursuit, inspiring hope that one day, the Israel-Palestine conflict will be remembered not as an enduring struggle, but as a testament to the power of dialogue, understanding, and mutual respect. In an age of information, we must navigate through the waves of media and propaganda. As we delve into the fifth segment of our discussion, we turn our focus to the role of media in the Israel-Palestine conflict. Media coverage, whether it be through newspapers, television broadcasts, or social media platforms, plays a significant role in shaping our perceptions of global events. It's the lens through which we view the world, and its influence cannot be understated. However, media is not a monolith. Different outlets, depending on their geographical location, political leanings, and target audience, can present vastly different narratives of the same event. In the context of the Israel-Palestine conflict, this means that the story you hear can depend heavily on where you hear it from. One outlet might stress the Israeli narrative, focusing on security concerns and the right to self-defense. Another might emphasize the Palestinian perspective, highlighting issues of displacement and occupation. Both narratives contain elements of truth, but neither tells the whole story. This is why it's crucial to seek out diverse sources of information. By examining the conflict from multiple angles, we can gain a more nuanced understanding of the situation. We can see beyond the black and white dichotomy often presented in the media, and instead appreciate the complex shades of gray that characterize this long-standing dispute. But as we navigate these waves of information, let's not forget the power of empathy. Empathy allows us to see past the politics and the propaganda, and to recognize the common humanity shared by both Israelis and Palestinians. It reminds us that, at its core, this conflict is about people with hopes, dreams, and fears just like our own. So let's strive to understand not just the politics, but also the people involved in this conflict. Let's listen to their stories, appreciate their struggles, and respect their aspirations. Let's remember that every headline, every statistic, every news report represents real lives and real experiences. As we strive to understand, let empathy be our compass. As we conclude this scene, remember to approach the Israel-Palestine conflict and indeed all global issues with an open mind, a critical eye, and a compassionate heart.